Welcome to NYNJPA Weather, your weather source for the Northern Mid-Atlantic. I'm meteorologist Stephen DiMartino, and it looks like this weekend's going to be very pleasant and tranquil, a bit cool, but still not too bad, especially considering what we're going to be heading towards by next week. Let's take a look at the forecast. High pressure is generally in control throughout much of the Northern Mid-Atlantic and really much of the East Coast. There are a few weak disturbances moving through the Great Lakes and the Hudson Valley that's producing a few isolated showers, but they're mainly weak and they're falling apart, so they really shouldn't have much of an impact on any travel destinations throughout the Northern Mid-Atlantic for today and through this weekend. Overall, most locations will be dry and rather cool, temperatures averaging near to slightly below normal, basically highs in the mid 40s to the lower 50s for today, Saturday, and Sunday. Overall, though, it's going to be a rather quiet weekend. Not bad for mid to late November, considering that weather could get rather cold and chilly as we move forward. But first, let's deal with the rest of this weekend. High pressure will continue to move east, eventually move off the coast, and Monday, Tuesday, and much of Wednesday, temperatures will actually be well above normal, with temperatures in the upper 50s, possibly breaking 60 degrees in some locations, with dry conditions and clear skies. A cold front that is currently organizing over the northern plains will slowly reach the northern Atlantic by Wednesday night, starting a step down to much colder conditions by the end of next weekend. What about Thanksgiving? Well, Thanksgiving is looking rather stormy. Let's take a look at the latest model guidance. This is the 500 millibar forecast for Thanksgiving on the GFS. Now, I could have used the European model guidance. It's a little bit more trustworthy overall. But basically all the models are showing the same type of idea, handling the storm in different ways. Basically this tells me the model guidance is having a very difficult time with the development of this pattern and the disturbances that will interact in this pattern. But what do we know overall? Well, we know that a strong negative NAO pattern is developing by the end of this weekend. And that's going to bring a far different outcome to the way storms interact over the United States. An NAO block usually forces storms more towards the coast because it's a block. Well, if all the models are showing this, why are the models having a difficult time handling this storm for Thursday? Well, the reason why is because each model is handling the disturbance, the polar disturbance that's dropping down through the northern plains and eventually through the Great Lakes a little bit differently. Some disturbances focus the majority of the energy over Ontario, creating a powerful storm over Ontario and a weak reflection along the coast, which means we get very warm. Other model guidance has the disturbance stronger towards the coast, which creates a little bit more of a coastal influence. And then other models just show basically a complete collapse of the entire storm. What do I think is going to happen? Well, we know that there are certain impacts to a negative NAO pattern. We know that eventually a coastal low does take over and become the primary low. The question is when. The way I see this storm playing out is that we're going to have a primary over the Great Lakes transitioning towards the coast. Likely on Thanksgiving afternoon, it will be off the New Jersey coast. Regardless whether the low transitions in the morning, afternoon, or well into the evening, the entire northern Atlantic could expect a rather wet Thanksgiving with rain throughout the region, possibly ending as a little bit of snow towards the end of Thanksgiving over the higher interior. Let's take a look at the surface maps. Again, this is the GFS surface map for Thursday morning. Now, notice the ISO bars here. Notice how they're kind of baggy and they're kind of bent out towards the Great Lakes, and then one down towards the southeast. Well, the isobar is down towards the southeast. That's our cold front. But however, the isobar, should I say, out towards the Great Lakes, well, that's a reflection of our Great Lakes low pressure system, and it's basically an indication that the models are having a difficult time trying to pick out where is the primary low pressure system. On this particular run, we have a low pressure that is basically centered over south central Pennsylvania. Is it correct? I'd probably go a little bit further west, more towards Pittsburgh, but I do like the idea of a redevelopment starting to take place along the New Jersey coast at that time period, thus the heavier rain over by southern New Jersey. Overall, though, we can expect a wet morning on Thanksgiving. With the warm front surging north, temperatures will be rather warm, though. So expect temperatures basically in the lower to mid 50s in the morning, possibly reaching 60 degrees on Thanksgiving, depending on where this warm front sets up and for how long it remains over to the north and to the west of the northern Mid-Atlantic. Moving forward towards the evening of Thanksgiving, towards the evening, look what we have here. We have a setup in the isobars here where it's very baggy with the low pressure system. Basically, you have your area low pressure that is forecast to sit somewhere around New England, but you have all this expansion, which means that the models really don't know where to place the actual center and primary low pressure center at this time by Thursday afternoon. So, and all the models are showing this, by the way, in various different ways. Basically, all the models are saying, I don't know where this primary is going to set up finally. Knowing again that we're dealing with a negative NAO pattern, eventually the primary low will be towards the coast. Regardless, expect moderate to heavy rain on Thursday afternoon, tapering off in the evening. Notice the cold air, though, right behind this low pressure center. The cold air is going to be charging east, and when it does, expect some of change over to rain and snow over parts of northeastern Pennsylvania and parts of the Hudson Valley. If you have any plans to go to the Great Lakes, watch out, because especially Friday morning on through the weekend, there's going to be a very impressive lake effect event, and there could be a pretty impressive one setting up off Lake Ontario, so keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, cold air is going to be building in, and you're going to experience much colder conditions by next weekend, with temperatures struggling to break 40 degrees in many locations. So winter's on the way, just in time for St. Nick. I will, of course, keep an eye on this developing situation for Thanksgiving because everyone's traveling. I also have a special map for the Thanksgiving travel throughout the nation at NYNJPA Weather. Thank you for trusting in NYNJPA Weather for your weather source for the Northern Mid-Atlantic. I'm meteorologist Stephen DiMartino. Have a great weekend.